Good morning. Welcome to the Dog Geek podcast. I am your host, Ashley, the Dog Geek. And here I have a special guest with me this morning who's just going to be on for a minute or two. This is Lily. She is my daughter, and she is the famous voice of the puppy bark in the beginning of the podcast. So I think she wanted to demonstrate that. Go ahead. You want to say hello? There it is. There she was, folks. The famous Miss Lily Hamer. Yay! Everybody clap.
Thank you.
She's so adorable. All right. So she's home with me today because this is Christmas break. So the kids are home with me. And I haven't been on for a while to do a podcast because of December was crazy. We were sick in the beginning of the month, and then just Christmas stresses and trying to get ready for the holiday. So we're finally settling back down and into life as usual. Life as normal, getting back to work. Kids will be back to school after the new year. Focusing on what we're doing for the new year. I am not I don't do New Year's resolutions. That's never been a thing for me. But I do start to get into this idea of uh, refreshing getting back to things, and then what do I want to improve on. So I guess it's somewhat like a resolution, but things that I want to improve on. Where do I want things to go next year? Do I want, I want to do more of my training, my in-home training business. I want to start to really grow that and focus more of my energy on that. So that includes things like building a website and doing some advertising, going to some local places and setting up tables and really getting my name out there. So I own a dog grooming business, and that grooming business is established. We've been in it for, I think, 12 or 13 years now. So we are, we're filled to capacity, and that just doesn't need as much of my focus and attention as far as, getting the word out there and trying to get clients and build my business. That is pretty set. Um, so with that being said, part of my wanting to build on my training is also in building on my knowledge and building on this podcast, which the podcast is great for me because it really helps me think and go through different things and talk about things, and which I really love and enjoy. Um, and it just helps me focus in on some of the other training things that I do in my training business. So this podcast, I wanted to talk about New Year goals with our dogs. So, things maybe we didn't do this year, things we didn't do enough of. What can we do more of, in the next year with our dogs to, give them a more enjoyable life? When we get dogs to be companions and to share our lives with, but they need a lot of what am I trying to say? They need specific things to be fulfilled. So where we might not think they need it, we think, oh, they're just happy, couch potatoes. But they really do need things to make their lives more fulfilled, makes them happier dogs, more content, and that all correlates with their behavior. So when we have dogs that are happy and fulfilled, and all their needs have been met, and we've given them physical and mental exercises, then they are happy, content dogs, and we have better behavior from them. And if those needs are not being met, then we tend to run into problem behaviors, which for us are problem behaviors, right? So the barking or chewing or um, jumping, things like that, pulling on leash, those things, your dog doesn't see as a problem. It's just a natural response to how they're feeling. But for us, it is a problem, right? Makes it difficult to walk them, makes it difficult to have company over, makes it, difficult to have anything nice because our dogs are maybe always chewing on those items or objects. So New Year's goals. What can we do with our dogs to uh, better enrich their lives and fulfill their lives? And these are things we're doing with them. So it's building the bond with them. It's enjoying their company more. A lot of times I do feel as though we as people get frustrated with our dogs because of all the problems that they have. And then we're not enjoying the time with them. We're frustrated because they peed on the carpet. We're frustrated because, they started chewing the chair leg, and we're frustrated because they're barking. So, and it doesn't make time enjoyable. So, since we're coming into the new year and we're going to be really into winter now, here, our Christmas was pretty cold for Jersey. I'm in New Jersey, so we were down in 20s and occasionally single digits. So for us, that was brutal. But winter can be tough because our dogs can't be outside for too long unless you have a cold weather breed, so one with a double coat like a husky. Um, then they would be more comfortable outside. But most of the dogs here can't be outside for long periods of time. It's just too cold. So what can we do in the winter, this January, February, maybe running even into March? What can we do to keep our dogs active and to keep a bond with them? Can be tricky. So yes, most of these things are going to be taking our dogs out to places, but heck, that's part of the enjoyment of having a dog is having places to go with them. So one thing that I just started with my two is swimming. So we started doing indoor swimming at a facility called Four Paws, which they've been fantastic. They're in Robbinsville and New Jersey, and so we just did our first session the other day, and I have them going in on Saturday as well. So indoor, it's warm, it's comfortable, and it's a great activity for our dogs. One, it's good for their joints because it's low impact. And two, it's great for them to build confidence. This one is huge, right? We get a lot of, "Oh, why is my dog, fearful?" Well, because they're not comfortable and confident with whatever the situation is. Oh boy, I've got one dog trying to share a bed with the other dog. This might not go well. There's not enough room under the desk for both of them. Um, so with swimming, they overcome some fears because it's all met with positive reinforcement. So it's met with food, it's met with toys. This is going to be fun. This is not going to be scary. We're not throwing you into the pool and saying, figure it out. We want the water to be a fun experience. We want them to be comfortable getting in it. They do wear life jackets, so that helps, of course, because dogs they all don't know how to naturally just swim. So they really have to learn, I think, particularly the back legs. They've got to learn how to work those and use them. They're not as aware of the back legs as they are of the front. So, swimming is fantastic. Indoor swimming, though, preface that. Don't go bring them to the lake and throw them into a freezing lake. Indoor swimming area, and it doesn't have to be 2 or 3 times a week. It can be once a week. It can be once a month. The point is that you're going. I mean, ideally, you want to go as often as you can, but the point is that you're going. Any indoor facility that offers extra kind of fun enrichment classes, so agility classes, which I teach. I love agility. It's a lot of fun. And it's not the agility that I like to teach is more relaxed. So we're not going for competition here. We're not, running for those things. We're running for the fun of it, for the bond, for, experiencing our dog to new things, new learning. And it is really cool to see them figure it out and learn it and enjoy it. And oh, that was my dog. He's looking for a toy. What'd you get, a kitty cat? Did you get a kitty cat? So we're looking for them to enjoy it. So I love agility, and it's indoor. You can look at tricks. You can do tricks online. Kiko Pup is a great YouTube site where she does lots of tricks, and she is a good one to follow. You can really understand what she's trying to say, and you can teach your dog tricks at home. You can take trick classes at training facilities. You can work on getting a tricks title, which is not as hard as it sounds. Your dog has to know a certain amount of tricks. You record them, you send them in, and then if they are doing the trick properly, then you can get a tricks title. And that's a really fun goal. Again, it's not super serious. It's just meant to be a good time and a good bond. And then you are working towards a goal, but it's not like, if you fail on TV and you lose a bunch of money. If you don't get it that time, that's okay. You can do it again. So tricks is wonderful. Scent work is a new one I'm really getting into. Scent work is basically your dog finding a scent. So you train them on a scent, and then you would maybe, start hiding it in different places eventually and asking them to search, asking them to find the scent. So they're using their brains, they're following that nose, and then they find the scent. And again, it's a big party, they get rewarded highly. So scent work you can do again. Some facilities will offer scent work or nose work classes, and you could take a course with a professional, or you can buy. I got it actually for Christmas, just kind of again to learn and to tweak around with. So I got a little scent work kit at home and a book. Very inexpensive, but it very clearly and easily talks you through how to begin that training and how to progress from there. Again, great for indoor because eventually we can be asking them to search this scent throughout the entire house. I plant maybe one of the scent bags and say search, and your dog is going to spend a ton of energy and time to try to find that scent. So it's a great indoor game, and it doesn't take long to play. You don't have to be playing it for 2 hours, right? You do a 15-minute session, of just getting them training 15 minutes, smelling the scent, and you do a little bit of this, and then you take a break. And then maybe later that day or the next day or in 2 oh, what? Or in 2 days, you do it again for another 15 minutes. It doesn't have to be a ton of time. Um, and a lot of these things too are great with your younger kids, not like 4-year-old, but, maybe 6, 7, and up, depending on your child, but they can do the trick stuff with your dog. They can do the scent work stuff. All of that is great. The last one I have for winter is working on your walking skills. So, walking with our dog on leash is typically one of the biggest questions and concerns that we get for people. And it doesn't matter if it's coming from, a 140-pound Bernese Mountain Dog or a 10-pound Yorkshire Terrier. Uh, we get walking issues all the time. And the reason I think walking skills right now in the winter is good is because it's cold outside, you're going to not be taking long walks. And for me, as long as it's above freezing, that's kind of where I go. If it's above freezing, I feel comfortable to take them out for a short walk. I do put jackets on my dogs because they have very little coat, so they have very little protection from the weather. So we put a jacket on. But the reason I like the short walk is because your dog is going to benefit more, and you, from doing a short, successful walk than trying to do a long walk and have it be a disaster. Okay. Every time you're walking, your dog is learning, whether they're learning not to pull on leash, whether they're learning to pull on leash. They're learning. So maybe if let's just say you do a 5-minute walk and you're basically going to walk down to the corner and back. That's it, right? So in that 5-minute walk, or maybe it'll be 10 minutes, but for the example, in that 5-minute walk, you have your treats ready in a bag, easily accessible. You have your dog on leash, and we're working from the get-go. You are working on your loose leash. I say loose leash because we want the leash to be loose. You're working on your walking skills the moment you bring out the leash inside the house. That's when your training begins. If you bring it out and your dog is jumping and barking and biting at the leash, then we need to put the leash away. That behavior will not get rewarded by putting the leash on, right? Hello, Lily. Do you have a question? Is it a dog question or is it a personal question? Personal question. We're going to take a short break. I'm going to address the personal question and we're going to come back. All right, we're back. So that was simple. We just needed a snack. That wasn't a big deal, thank goodness. So yeah, so it loose our walking skills begin in the house, bringing out the equipment. Then from there, right, we're able to put it on again. We're using rewards here, so maybe we ask for a sit, right? Yes, good dog. I can give a treat. I can give a pet. I can, just give a lot of praise, and then I'm clipping on the leash, and then we're at the door, right? And it doesn't matter what door you're leaving out of, it's the door. So when we open the door, is our dog bolting out the door because they're so excited? Then we need to work on that. So again, we open the door. If our dog goes to bolt or goes forward, we close the door. Maybe we stand in front of our dog and we try to create some space. So this is called body blocking. I stand in front of my dog and I create this space. The second my dog pauses or sits down or backs up, does a behavior I want to be repeated, I reward. Yes, good dog, with a sit. When I open the door and they stay seated or they stay back, they don't go forward. Yes, and I reward with food, right? We can work on a weight cue here, which is what I do for my guys, and then we go out the door. So you can see how this doesn't start from just let me get my dog on a leash and let me get out to the curb and then start working. The training begins the moment the leash is brought out, or even the moment you say the word, let's go for a WALK, because my guys will get up. WALK. It begins, okay? So 5-minute walk, all good training, learning all good skills, learning the leash skill, learning the door skill, learning the stepping outside the door skill, learning walking without pulling on that leash, meaning we're rewarding, and I call it the, oh, hello. What happened? We don't know. The dog's, huh? Oh, I don't know. All right, dogs got all in a hut. What happened? Thank you, guys. So that was an alert bark. I don't mind those. Something startled them. They both got up and barked. I don't mind the startle bark. They're just letting me know that they thought something happened. Okay. So so that is right. It all begins in the beginning. Okay. Your dog is going to gain more good life skills or good walking skills if you focus on that 5-minute time. And it's okay. What's the matter? What is that? All right. I don't know. Let me see. Maybe something's happening. All right. Quite a morning. That was actually, so they heard the recycling trucks go by. So that was what that whole commotion was. My goodness. So if your dog is learning every step of the way. So let's say you're like, oh my God, I got my dog out for a walk. And you try to do, let's even use the 5-minute walk. Oh, we're just going to do a 5-minute walk. It's cold. You take the leash out and your dog jumps, bites on the leash, but you click them up real quick. You open the door, they bolt out. You just let them go, close the door behind. They're pulling you to the sidewalk. Then they're sniffing a little bit. Then they're pulling you to the next bush or they're pulling you to the next pole, right? And you're thinking like, oh, okay, at least it's okay. At least they're just getting out and we're getting our walk in. But they have learned a whole bunch of skills that they find enjoyable and they find that works for them, but it's not enjoyable for us, right? So they found that, oh, great. When that leash comes out, if I jump up and I bark and I bite at the leash, they're going to click it on. Great. When they open the door, I am free to go. I'm so excited. And when I bolt out, I get to go out the front door. Great. I can pull them down to the curb. The more I pull, the faster I get there. So all of these things are going to be repeated every single time because it was enjoyable for the dog. So even if it's that 5 minutes, but you did it all the opposite, right? Your dog's going to learn all bad skills. Now, let's say we're doing a 10-minute walk. All right. Let's say we started off with good skills like, okay, we're going to do our leash work. We're going to do our door work. We're going to get out to the curb nicely and calmly. And then we start walking, right? You're good for the first, couple minutes. You're like, oh, great, I'm working. Oh, so I like to call my little leash radius, right? The distance from me to my dog that they have around, right? When they're clipped on that leash. That leash that is called my reward zone, my reward bubble. Um Reward circle if you'd like. So that is where my dog is going to get rewarded anytime they're in that bubble. So we do all that work. We're working on not pulling and rewarding for different things, blah, blah, blah. But then the last 5 minutes of your walk, right now, maybe you're tired, maybe you're getting cold, maybe you're losing patience. Okay. All human things. And then we decide, like, oh, I just can't. And my dog's going to pull, starts to pull. And then we let them do it. We're like, screw it. I'm exhausted. They're going to pull to the pole. They're pulling to the bush. There's people across the street. Your dog starts barking and getting excited or anxious and is barking and lunging at these people across the street. And you're just like, oh my God. All right. So the last 5 minutes is just this mess of behaviors that we don't want to be repeated, but our dog is doing it. So basically, we just canceled out the first 5 minutes of your walk where you put in all this great work, because the last 5 minutes was all this work we don't want, all this, the skills that we don't want our dog doing. They just learned all that. So you basically canceled yourself out. Okay. So your dog is not going to be doing the new skills they learned that we want them doing. They're reverting back to these other old skills. So the the point of that is you are better off getting in that 5 minutes of good work. You're teaching your dog skills of walking on a leash that we want them to do, and then calling it a day. We're done. Because then the next time you take your dog for the next 5-minute walk, you're going to repeat the same steps, right? Repetition is key, consistency is key. Short and successful are keys. All of these things matter. So it's really, really good to work on these skills in the wintertime when it's cold, because we don't want to be outside. And it's not great for your dog to be outside for a long time if they're not don't have the coats for it. Coat being the dog's fur. So the oh, I do have one more thing. So winter activity in the house, you can do house recall game. So this is your dog coming when called, and it is a fun one to do indoors. And we recommend that you train your coming when called, your recalls, indoors first anyway. So take the opportunity, since we're all indoors, to do it inside. You're going to start maybe some one room, a kitchen, a living room, a dining room, and you're just doing a quick recall, right? Buddy, come. And your dog, you having food treats, your dog comes to you, you're rewarding heavily, right? Good dog, do, treat, 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 treat. Then you go to a different part of that room. Buddy, come, right? They come to you, you treat. Boom, 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 boom. Then after they get this game, okay, every time I come to you, when you call me, I get rewarded. Then you're going to start going maybe to 2 rooms. Okay, your dog is in the dining room, you move into the kitchen. Buddy, come. Your dog's running to you. Treat, treat, treat. So now your dog is starting to find you, right? You're in a different room. Where are you? And they're listening to the call and they're searching for you. Then you can start making it more difficult. And eventually, this is a bit of a hide and seek game, right? So eventually, you can go into um, depending on your house, you can go into a closet, leave the door peeked open. You can go behind a door, you can go under a bed, you can go under a blanket, you can go in a corner next to a couch. There's all different kinds of things that you can do. Again, great game for kids. And you do your recall. This is really getting our dogs excited to come to us when called. Then when the night weather's nicer, we can start bringing these skills outdoors. All right, which is really when we are needing them, is outdoors. But so that's our call house find and seek, right? Coming when called. So weather's getting nicer out. All right, we're able to go outside more often. What could be some nice goals for spring, summertime? One of the goals for me that I would really like to do with my dogs is bring them to the beach. I have a couple clients I know who go to the beach very often, bring their dogs, and they bring, umbrellas, they bring shade, blankets. They have the dogs either are able to be off leash or they have them on the long line. So it's like a 20 or 30-foot long line. And the dogs have a day at the beach. And It's another environment, totally different smells. There's some water involved, but it's not a drop off like a pool, right? So they can just put their feet in. They can just watch it, and some dogs are just curious but not as willing to get in the water. So the beach, I think, is one of those trips I would like to, a goal of mine in particular, um, that I want to do, bringing them to a beach. There are things like sniff spots, which I do have one, and I have a small following of regular customers. So a sniff spot is something you do online, and it's basically allowing people to use my backyard as, you could say, like a dog park. I call it my yard park. And people come and they bring their dogs. They're the only dogs that are allowed in the backyard there's only one dog, or what am I trying to say? It only one person books at a time. So you're not going to be in there with a stranger who also booked the yard at the same time. So you're welcome to bring a friend. If your dogs are friendly with each other, you could, both of you can come together, but you're the only ones there. There's no human interaction, so there's not people walking around. And I found that this is great for dogs that are anxious around other dogs, anxious around people, but they want a safe place for the dog to run off leash. Also great for people who have apartments, or don't have a large yard. They can come here, let the dog off leash. It's fully fenced, and the dog can really get a good run in. They can play fetch. They can play with toys. They can. This is another great spot to work on that recall, coming when called. So that's called sniff spot. Then there's also dog walks. Okay. Dog walks for me is the walk for your dog, meaning you're putting them on that long line. You're finding a safe, open area to let your dog be a dog, go wherever they want to go, sniff wherever they want to sniff. Typically, you're not going to be going in a straight line. You're going to be going like a zigzag pattern, because that's how dogs are following scent. And that is, I will go to the park, Mercer County Park, Cooser Park, one of the bigger parks here. And I just pick an area that's not heavily populated. So I don't go to where the kids' jungle gyms are. I'm not going to necessarily the popular picnic spots, right? I'm going to an area where really not a lot of people are, and I'm letting my dogs just go and sniff, follow scent on a long line. I should preface that anytime you're using a long line, the dogs should be on a harness, just in case something happens, they do get to the end of that line and there's a tight pull or yank on it. Um, we want to be safe. If it's on the neck, it can be very dangerous. So you want to put it on the harness so that if it pulls, it won't hurt the neck, the trachea. So dog walks, maybe make a goal to bring them out once a week to a dog park, once every other week on a Sunday morning, Sunday evening. During the week is going to be less busy. But then you can also, maybe if you're a person who really likes hiking and you have a dog that is suited for hiking and is at the appropriate age, meaning they're the adult and full grown, they can go on longer hikes. Maybe you choose different hiking trails, different parks, different places that you can bring your dog to do those hikes. And that is a really fun goal also, right? There are so many wonderful places here in New Jersey, Pennsylvania, that you can take your dog and do these really cool hikes and walks. So that's for our spring, summer. And then we kind of fall back into the fall, winter time where we get back into swim and indoor classes of different kinds. Now, of course, can you do any of the winter activities in the spring, summer? Absolutely. Spring and summer, you can do swim, you could do agility, you could do tricks, you could do nose work, you can do all that stuff. But it's obviously harder to do summer activities in the winter. Okay. Last thing I just want to go over is some fun enrichment. So I know I've talked about previously in another podcast that I don't feed my dogs out of food bowls. I feed them out of food dispensing toys, or some sort of activity where they can search and sniff for their food. So that again is always really important for everyday stuff, everyday enrichment. It's an easy one to do. So we want to get them in that. You can always buy puzzles. They have puzzle toys You can buy puzzles, but they tend to go pretty quickly. Once your dog figures out the puzzle, they tend to just figure it out. It's less enriching once they really get the game down. But sometimes you can get puzzles really cheap at different stores, and you can pick up a $6 puzzle and let them have fun for a little while, and then maybe you pass it on to a friend or something like that. Um, you can hide treats. So I've seen people take some old dish towels and they'll hide some treats and roll it up, and they'll kind of twist a whole bunch of them together. So they've created kind of this snuffle ball where they have a ball of fabric and there's treats hidden all inside of it, and they'll give it to the dog and let the dog kind of search, pull the rags apart, and find those treats. That's another fun one. I would also, talking about enrichment and getting our dogs to really learn new skills, is I would pick a training goal for something. And I wouldn't like set yourself a goal. I don't like to set my goals too many, because if it doesn't seem achievable, then I don't really it's defeating. If I'm like, oh my God, that's so much, I don't think I'm going to be able to do it. And I tend to not do it. So I just like to set maybe one goal at a time. I'm not giving myself a time frame at the moment, just one goal. And that goal might be that I want my dog to have good front door manners. That's it. That's the only thing I want to work on ideally. Like, that's what I want to really focus and hone in on, is front door manners. So that's what I'm going to work with. And I'm going to maybe contact a trainer to help with that process. Maybe I'm going to look up videos, figure out what training methods I want to use, right? And that's helpful when you have a dog trainer to help you with those things. But I'm going to work on my dog not bolting out the door, things like that. Then maybe once you've achieved that goal, okay, then we can move on to a separate goal. Maybe I want to work on my dog greeting people, or I should say, people greeting my dog greeting people. That's how I did want to say it that way. So my dog approaching people might be a new goal. And in that goal, maybe I taking my dog to places where they're going to meet people. So that might be a Barnes and Noble, a PetSmart, a Petco, any of the Home Depot. And I want to work with my dog and having them approach someone and say a polite hello. So giving yourself small goals, I think, is really great. We don't need to overwhelm and have it be too much. All right. So I think that's it. I think I've exhausted myself with this podcast. I hope that you got some great information here. I hope that I kind of sparked some interest in some goals for your dog for the new year, maybe something you want to try that you've never tried before. I can guarantee you that every single dog can do every single thing I had mentioned, some at different levels, some at different speeds. Well, I should say all at different levels and all at different speeds. And, but they can all do them, they can all enjoy them, and they can all be enriched by them. So please, please, please pick something, give it a try, give it a shot. And that's it for me. I look forward to talking to you on the next podcast.